Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes report for the past 24 hours. I'm running out of battery. I haven't rested yet, so I'm using my remaining battery to talk to you guys. So let's start with the biggest frontline change over the past 24 hours. It's over at the SUMY front. So actually I should not call this curse, I should call it SUMY, because I have decided to rename the curse front to SUMY front due to exactly this frontline change. The Russian forces has been geolocated over at Belovodi. Previously, they were only at Zuravka, but this time around they have actually advanced all the way to Belovodi, which will include all these areas in the open grounds, as well as the farmlands that can't possibly have any more Ukrainian forces due to the developments we are seeing over here, which means that the Russian forces have captured a whopping 24.8 square kilometers in just one day, in just 124 hours. And this is a huge capture. The distance traveled from the previous geolocation is 3 kilometers. So this is a very, very big frontline change. And I have my doubts whether the Ukrainians are even defending below Vody. So this very, very big frontline change. The geolocation of Russian forces is basically already inside. You can see this is already part of the village or the town, and they have basically entered. The town splits into two. So this is actually two different sides, and you can see there's a river going through the center with the bridge over here. So the Russian forces will be attacking on two different flanks, and we shall see how this continue to develop, which is why we are seeing the two geolocations, because it's two different sides of the same town. So let's see how this goes. Very, very interesting developments around here. The next frontline change, we jump all the way to the Torex front. So this is Torex city. Over the Torex city, around the west of Druzhba, or near to Pivnishny, or just south of Dashny, the Ukrainian mapping Deep State UA have mapped that the Russian forces have captured the forest along the railway line and everything south of it. So all of these forests has been taken by the Russian forces according to Ukrainian mapping as they entered into this suburb. This suburb, according to the Ukrainian the Deep State UA's mapping, is Dashny. However, if you look at the Google Maps, they actually put as no name, and Dashny was noted on top. So it's a bit weird. We're not sure if what is this. So the Ukraine mapping, the Deep State US mapping, this is Dashny, this is Dilievka. So in Google mapping, this has no name. This is Dashny and this is Dilievka. So you can pick your choice of what is the version of what is what. So whatever it is, the Russians have advanced in this area here, and very, very significant frontline change over here, which means that the Russians is likely going to secure this suburb very, very soon, and it will strengthen the Russians' position around the Torex front. Inside Torex itself, Ukrainian mapping have disclaimed more of the city of Torex. This time around, Russian forces advance around the northwest of the stadium as they continue to push the Ukrainians out of Torex city. So the stadium is over here. So the Ukrainian mapping has now continued to map that the Russians are advancing. Over at Skrebnivka, a banana has appeared. This banana is actually the Ukrainians geolocated over in the south, and this confirms the Ukrainians have retaken back half of Skrebnivka. So that's basically it. The mapping is mapped in this way because there is a river in between, and the Russians were previously geolocated over at the Novospassky region. So we will continue to just leave it as this, and as like this become like a very separate front line. Novospassky or Petrivka is still being reported to be fighting just in yesterday's situation report. So I would not just discount the possibility of the Russian forces being there. After that, the next frontline change is nearby as well, is Sukabalka. Ukrainian mapping have mapped that the Russian forces have captured this patch of forest in the north of Sukabalka. So more advances around here. The speed of the advance do suggest that the Ukrainians are trying to defend. The advance have slowed down significantly, but the Russians are still pushing. So still made some frontline change with a distance traveled around 380 meters. So that's all from the Thorax front. After Sukabalka, the next frontline change is at Novo-Ukrainka. So over here, so this is a Pokrov front. This is Novo-Ukrainka, and Vrzenia, Novo-Ukrainka, Shevchenko. Over here, the Russian forces is still located. It resulted in a very tiny frontline change, very tiny one. So, not very significant per se. So, just a tiny one. So, just a slight correction. That's all. After Novo-Ukrainka, the next frontline change is at Uspenivka. Ukrainian mapping have mapped that the Russian forces have captured more of Uspenivka, and we are now looking at the verge of the fall of Uspenivka. Confirmed fall. So Ukrainian forces theoretically still have some positions around here, so we will still continue to wait for more intel to see how this continues to play out. And after Uspenivka, the next frontline change is at Kotelivka. So over in the southwest of Uspenivka, this one is the southern flank of the Pokrov front, Ukrainian mapping have mapped that the Russian forces have captured huge amount of grounds in the east of Kotelivka, going down various numbers of tree lines, allowing the Russian forces to have a strong position to then attack Kotelivka in the two-pronged attack. So the distance from Kotelivka to the front line is around half a kilometer. So they're getting really close. So this attack is potentially coming very soon. So after Kotelivka, the next front line change, we move to the Koma front. Over at Kostyantynopil, there is these two different things happening. Geolocation of Russian forces over in the just off the canal or the river confirmed the Russians have advanced south and captured all these grounds around here. And if I zoom out, you can see that there is some kind of a further implication because this frontline change means that the Ukrainians can no longer retreat from this northern part of the Voschar River. The retreat is totally cut. And yesterday's frontline changes, we really noted that the Russians have advanced towards Bahatir from the north of Rozliv. And in the Ukrainian mapping today, we have them updating the map that the Russian forces have captured almost the entirety of the southern half of Kostyantynopil. So the Ukrainian forces allegedly may still have some positions here, but the retreat looks very dangerous. If you look at, because there's a river here, so it looks very dangerous. It looks like it's suicidal to still stay in their position inside Kostyantynopil. So let's see. It looks rather impossible now. It's becoming an impossible situation to have Ukrainian forces to be still there. So we will wait for more information. Perhaps we're going to see the closure of the entire front line in this way, with Russian forces taking all of these areas here within the next few days. That is possible. But of course, Kostyantynopil has always been this very elusive place where the updates always never seems to stick. So who knows? As the Ukrainians may not want to give up this place at all. South of Bahatir, the Russian forces, according to the Ukrainian mapping, have advanced a little bit up this tree line in the direction of Bahatir. So very small change around here. And then there's one last frontline change. It's over at Vinnypole. So over on the western flank of the Koma front, Russian forces has been geolocated in a new position inside Vinnypole, confirming the Russian advance around this Vinnypole Privony sector. So small change, but this is part of this bigger picture. As you can see, this advance around here, and these are the other advances in the front line. So anyway, these are all the frontline changes over the past 24 hours, with of course the biggest being the SUMY front's huge breakthrough by the Russian forces. Of course, that is this area here, the Ukrainians can't possibly have much defense position. So the Russians are likely going to push until maybe around this line. Maybe around this line, the Russians will start to struggle to make faster pushes, because this is where the Ukrainians' defense line should be, I believe. So we will continue to monitor how this goes. So let's do some calculation of the total area captured. So for the Ukrainians, because of the banana at Skibinivka, they have 0.73 square kilometers captured. For the Russians, it's going to be 24.8 plus 1.48 plus 2.03 plus 2.52, with the total area captured at 30.83 square kilometers. So that's it. So this is the frontline changes report for the past 24 hours. It's very significant development over at the SUMY front. We shall see, how this SUMY front going to evolve moving on. And I think the other front line to look out for is the Vorishna front. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and yeah, like, subscribe. We are going for 100,000. So do check, make sure you are not unsubscribed. Happy birthday to you if your birthday today, and I'll see you guys in the next update.